back. I'm so excited to share with you this cake. This dessert is a flan cake. Cake on the bottom, flan on the top. I cut up some blackberries for color and visual interest, sprinkled it with a little bit of powdered sugar, and had some nuts, and then we made a homemade caramel. This dessert is something that you have to learn how to make because it's super easy, and I'm gonna show you how to make this right now. And I want to share with you some of my back pocket recipes, and what those back pocket recipes are recipes that you could make just on the fly or like really fast, really quick, and they look really elegant, they're really interesting, and they taste really good. And this is one of those. Now I'm going to use help from the store. These cakes, Duncan Hines, Betty Crocker, I like Betty Crocker, and my chef friends are always discussing like, what are the best store-bought things, that you can pull off and nobody will know it's store-bought. Divided between Betty Crocker and then Duncan Hines. Now, yes, you can make this cake batter from scratch. I'll leave the recipe down below. Another thing you're gonna need is a bundt pan. I have 2 bundt pans, and these are the dark ones that are the, quote, non-stick. Remember, if you're baking in these, you have to lower the temperature by 25 degrees, because if not, it'll overcook. There's lots of different ways of making this particular type of caramel. I'm gonna do just like a cooked down inverted sugar. So I'm gonna get sugar and I'm gonna cook it. And I'm gonna do it the way my mom did. She just put the sugar in the pan and then cooked it along till it became sort of like an amber color, almost burnt. It tastes delicious. I wanna put something out there in all the mixes. When the boxes say super moist, it has like a pudding in the mix. It kind of makes it more moist. And in a lot of professional kitchens, there's pudding powder, all right? And to kind of emulsify and to give body and creaminess to baked goods. Normally, before they used to do this inside these cake boxes, home cooks realized, wow, if I get Jell-O pudding and I put it inside, it will make it more moist. It's really good. You don't need to use this if this says super moist. If you really want a super duper moist cake, which I don't recommend, you can put this in there as well. Now the caramel is ready. You want to grab one of your bundt cans and you just want to pour it in. And then you want to roll it around and it'll stick to the pan. All right, so I'm going to put this to the side. We're going to get ready to mix our cake. You're going to basically follow the directions. If you want the scratch recipe, look in the description box below if you want to make it from scratch. Make sure that your eggs are at room temperature. Leave them out for about 45 minutes to an hour before you use them. Another baking tip I want to give to you is whenever you're making anything chocolate, if you add espresso or coffee or freeze-dried coffee, it will enhance the flavor of the chocolate. This calls for 1.25 cups of water. I'm gonna add coffee that I just made. But we're gonna make a couple of additions to this. Now remember, I'm always talking about texture. And when you think about this cake, it's flan, which is, a custard, it's soft, and then the cake has a little bit of texture, but for the most part, it's still soft. I'm going to add 1/4 cup coarse cornmeal. And then you're just gonna mix it, and then we're gonna throw it into the pan. We're also gonna add a couple rinds from an orange or a tangerine. This is gonna take this box cake to like a different level. It's gonna give several nuances that you wouldn't have in a box cake. When I bring this anywhere, whether it's church, a party, a potluck, or as a birthday cake, people are always amazed by the presentation of it because it literally has the cake on the bottom and then it has the flan on the top, perfectly formed. What happens is that the cake is so much denser than the flan that even though both of the liquids looks like they're mixing in, they separate and they cook separate. Right, so I'm not gonna put all of it in because some do not have the right size bundt cake. You might have a smaller one. You know that too. Do not put this in here all the way, just fill half. Once you put in the flan mixture, then you can add it and it'll completely separate. And so now you're just gonna pour it together and it's gonna look like it's getting all like joined up and getting all gooky. It's completely fine. All right, so now you're gonna grab a vessel so that you can create sort of like a makeshift bain-marie, and you're gonna put this inside the vessel with water, and you're gonna put it in the oven. The oven is at 350 degrees, and it's gonna be in there for about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours, or until you put a toothpick through and it comes out and it just has a couple of little wet crumbs. It's perfect. You're gonna take it out. Okay, a couple things. Don't worry about the holes that are in here, or if the cake on some side like grows bigger or expands bigger than the other. It doesn't really matter. You flip it, you're not gonna be able to see that. What you are gonna see is the flan on the top. The other thing is, this is a make-ahead dessert. This is not a, oh, let me make it this morning and then let it cool and then put it in the refrigerator and bring it to somebody's Friday night dinner at 6. Make this the day before so that the flan has enough time to cool and set itself on top of the cake. If it does not cool and set itself, you risk the flan kind of like going and kind of falling off in a little place, which has happened to me. So that's my experience. I want to pass it on to you. Once it sits up in the refrigerator, which will be overnight, tomorrow morning, I will flip it and show you what it looks like, and it's going to look completely amazing. All right, so this is what I was talking about when I was explaining it before, that you have the flan on the top and then you have the cake on the bottom, and it really looks beautiful. Bring it to a party and people will love it. Sprinkle it with little nuts on the top. This is gonna give great crunch because you know the flan is, you know, a custard, the cake is still soft. And I know that we put a little bit of cornmeal in the cake so that it has a little bit of texture, but this is gonna be really, really great. And yes, I have my classic vintage plates, or as people like to comment on the comments, old lady plates. I love these. The flan is really great. It's custardy, it's not any. And the chocolate cake on the bottom, it has chocolate flavor. And then also, I like the texture that's inside from the cornmeal that we put in for texture. So it's not just like a soft cake. It has its own texture. There's like 3 textures going on in here. The corn, the nuts, and the blackberries that we put in here. This is a really good dessert. I hope that you'll make it. Think of putting this into your arsenal of dessert recipes, because this is a winner. Hey, if you like this video, give it a like. Now, I'm gonna go and finish this off in my favorite club chair with some coffee.